We are going to Vienna, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, Sagi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Look, I'm really excited about this episode because Vienna and Austria is a place that I've never been before. So, and a lot of our viewers
Oh,
and
you definitely should.
yeah, and a lot of our viewers and listeners probably also haven't been there before, and that's why I have a lot of questions. But before I get to the questions about Vienna and Austria, I would like to know a little bit about you. So, how did you come to Vienna, and how did you become an owner of a tour company?
That's quite a long story. So since a young age, I've been moving around. I always felt that the world is too big, not to be explored. I started my journey in the west coast of North America, in Vancouver, in Canada, and moved around also in Europe. And I came to Vienna mainly because my brother was here, and I thought it's going to be a very short station before my next destination. And then, what happens to many people, I fell in love with the city. Uh, Sometimes we call it even a honey trap because this is a type of a city that is so convenient to live in. It's the rated number one in the world for quality of life, and it's
Really?
not by coincidence. It's a great place to live. Yeah, already for nearly 13 years, almost in a row, with a gap of 1 year. Every year, it's ranked number one as the best place to live on earth.
What makes Vienna such a great place to live in?
There are many reasons why Vienna is so amazing. So first of all, it starts from the private life of an average person in Vienna. Vienna enables you to work in a very balanced way. The rights of the employees are quite amazing. So you can work without leaving for work. You have enough days off, you have enough times off, everything closes very early, so you can embrace the culture of the city in the evening with your family. And while it could be expensive for tourists a little bit, for the locals, it's quite balanced. Those who don't live in the center of Vienna don't spend that much on rent, or at least they can save enough money every month for a good quality of life. Beside that, nearly everything is free from the social services. So university is free, like schooling, education is free. Healthcare is very advanced here. The best public transportation in the world, at least in my opinion, and much more.
Okay, so from a local perspective, it sounds like a really place to live in. But you said a word that really caught my ear, and that you said that it's kind of pricey. So is Vienna and Austria is an expensive destination for traveling?
You could say. I just saw a list a few days ago of the most expensive cities in the world, and Vienna basically increased in ranking, and it was in the top 15. So it's pretty expensive, I would say, but it really depends on the way that you travel. So Vienna has a lot to offer. It has a lot to offer also for free with many parks. Vienna is one of the greenest cities in Europe. So you have incredible amount of parks and gardens and nature that's all around Vienna. You have the Danube Island, many places where you can just go and relax and have picnic and enjoy, not paying a cent, besides maybe some food. When it comes to shopping, yeah, Vienna might not be the best destination for shopping. You could drive 1 hour to Bratislava in Slovakia and do your shopping and then come back. These are the two closest capitals in the world, Vienna and Slovakia, and then Bratislava. 1 hour drive, you are there. So that's what most people do. And then you have a lot of museums, palaces, where the pricing is I would say quite average. It's around between 15 to 20 euros per ticket. So I think that you can keep a good budget and still enjoy the city. Of course, as you increase your budget, you will unlock more options, like let's say going to the opera, which can be a little bit expensive, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
So, Vienna is in Europe, and there are a lot of great destinations all around Europe, neighboring countries of Austria, and
Yeah.
etc. So let's say I'm a traveler from the US or from Canada or even from Australia or places outside of Europe. Why should I come and visit Vienna?
That's a great question, of course. First of all, I'm open to explore anywhere. And I will just say, Vienna is not necessarily better than other places, but Vienna has a lot of depth and richness to offer that I think travelers should not miss out. And it's a city that often feels like a village. So when you come here, you will see that it's very small or very accessible. You can see a lot in a very short amount of time. Then it has a lot to offer for a wide range of travelers, because there are many travelers that come looking for culture. They want museums, they want to explore the history of the city, and Vienna is extremely rich in culture. It has incredible amount of museums and a lot of depth. It was the capital of an empire that once ruled most of Europe at a certain point of time. And so a lot of the treasures are still here. And for people who love history, the city is incredible. Also, despite being somewhat destroyed in World War II, a lot has been preserved or rebuilt in the historism style, so as it was before. And that means that when you walk down the streets of Vienna, you really experience the history. You really feel it, and it's amazing. Now, of course, it's also in other cities like that, but also in Vienna. So history lovers enjoy it. Then you have music lovers. Many people love music, and Vienna is the capital of music worldwide. You know, Mozart worked here, and Beethoven, and Schubert, and Strauss, and many others. So concerts here are a real cultural experience that even the locals go to regularly to enjoy. So music is also another aspect. Then you have food. Food here is also quite good. The Austrian cuisine might not be the best in the world, but if you're craving a good schnitzel or strudel or Sachertorte, that's also a reason to come. And then there is nature. So Austria is one of the world's most beautiful countries, in my opinion. And I traveled a little bit. I even lived in British Columbia in Canada, so which is also one of the most amazing places on earth.
It's really amazing
But
there as
Vienna
well,
has,
yeah.
absolutely. But Vienna has incredible nature right around it, with the Wachau Valley, or if you go a little bit further to areas like Salzburg and Salzkammergut, there are many towns next to lakes that feel like a fairy tale. So many people that come from other places really fall in love with Vienna. And as we saw, it's one of the destinations that people return to the most. So second-time travelers, third-time travelers, Vienna is well known for that.
So basically, now that I think about it, Austria is a mountainous country, right? Like it has a lot of the Alps, and it's very famous for ski and snowboarding. And then also during the summertime, I know that a lot of people go to hike and backpack and do like canyoning and stuff like that. So like, is it accessible from Vienna? Like, can you just drive an hour away from Vienna and get somewhere beautiful?
Absolutely. Yeah. Next to Vienna, for example, you have an area called Semmering that is very well known for skiing and for winter sports. And then, of course, you can go further to the areas of Tirol or Salzburg, which is about 3 to 4 hours away. It's also very accessible with public transportation. You don't really need a car. Of course, it makes it more convenient, but the rail system in Austria is really, it's fantastic and advanced and very convenient with very reliable time schedules. So you can really make sure that you will get to the destination on time. And then that opens up the entire country. So even if you dedicate only a week to visit Austria and you spend 2-3 days in Vienna, in my opinion, it's short, but if you came for winter sports, for example, then 2-3 days in Vienna is enough. Then the whole country is open for you and you can do hiking and snowboarding and anything else that you like. And even in Vienna, you can enjoy some winter-related activities or just hike on mountains like Kahlenberg Mountain, which you can reach with a bus from Vienna. It's 20 minutes or so. And then you can have a beautiful view of all Vienna. It has been snowing for the last 3 days here. So now the view is quite incredible. So for mountains like that, you can really enjoy the view.
So now it comes to my second question. It relates to what you just said. So in your opinion, when is the best time to come and visit Vienna and Austria?
It's a good question. Vienna is a city that experiences all 4 seasons quite well. So you can come at any time and enjoy different activities. So the good thing is that when it rains in Vienna, you have enough indoor places to enjoy without suffering from the rain. And Vienna is not that rainy. It's more known for being a windy city. Sometimes people call it the Chicago of Europe because it's so windy. So that's something to take into account when you come between November and February. It might be quite windy, so you have to dress properly. But then you can enter Schönbrunn Palace or Hofburg or the one of the other many museums in the city and avoid the cold. In the summer, it can get pretty hot, but then you have the Danube. You can just go there and jump into the water. There are many places where you can swim. So, in my opinion, Vienna is a destination that really is perfect any time of the year. I would maybe avoid August because it just gets really hot and most of the locals are away. They are on their holiday in Italy or in other places in Austria. So, yeah.
You heard him, ladies and gentlemen. It's a full-on year vacation. Like you can come whenever you want, basically, and it will be great. It's interesting. There are some places around the world that you can only really come during the summertime, like July, August, and maybe the end of the springtime, beginning of autumn time. But I really like to go to places that they change. I mean, they're still the same, but they change by the seasons.
Yes, the leaves change, the scenery.
Exactly. And also maybe the people, I don't know, maybe students are out of the city. Maybe there are all kinds of festivals, I guess.
It's funny that you say the people because the Viennese, well, Vienna is known as the city with the highest quality of life. It's also rated #1 as the unfriendliest city in the world. Which I have to say that I'm personally, I'm not sure how to feel about that because I love the Viennese people, but they are very notorious for their attitude sometimes. Maybe they still believe that they are part of an empire and are very important, which maybe not be the case anymore. But yeah, I think that the people don't necessarily change with the seasons that much. Students, yes, Vienna is a very studential city as well now. But when people come here, they have to prepare to the Austrian vibe, to the Austrian attitude. It's not a service-oriented attitude. It's
really
a different kind. Yeah, it's but when you go to a cafe, for example, a traditional cafe, sometimes you will see a sign that says, "If you are in a rush, go somewhere else." For example, so they're not trying to serve you. They basically just give you the honor of sitting in their place, and you have to embrace that honor and feel like the privileged person that you are to be in a Viennese cafe.
I am not worthy. Attitude. I'm not worthy.
Exactly. So don't worry, you are, and they will serve you eventually, but don't expect it to be like in some other destinations in the world where the customer is the king and can get whatever they want. Here it's a little bit different, but it's part of the culture and of the attitude of the locals. It's something to embrace and accept.
Yeah. So, Sagi, I have a question. I want you to describe to me the perfect day for a traveler in Vienna.
That's a tough question. First of all, I will have to ask you what you love, because as we said, different travelers might be drawn into different parts of the city. I could say that the first thing you have to do is, of course, explore the inner city. Vienna was a fortified city, so surrounded by walls until around the mid-19th century. And so the old city used to be mainly Vienna. Now Vienna has 23 districts. Each district is larger than the first district, which is the old city. So in theory, you can explore a lot, but you have to start from the core, from the center. And the center is very walkable. You can, in 2-3 hours, see a lot. There are many monuments that are 5 minutes from each other. Many churches, of course, as a Catholic city. And so I would start there. Then I would stop for a nice cafe because Vienna is known for its coffee culture. Actually, coffee in Europe started in Austria. Not many people know that actually about coffee, that the cappuccino is actually an Austrian invention. It's not Italian
didn't know it
at all.
I didn't know it.
Yeah, it comes from the word cappuccino. It's basically named after the Capuchins, which is a religious group that originated from the Franciscans. They moved to Austria and established here their headquarters, and they are known for the brown robes that they were wearing. And after the Ottoman siege, the second Ottoman siege of Vienna, where the Ottomans were obliterated, the Viennese found powder next to the dead bodies of the Turks. And they took it and they mixed it with water. And when they mixed it with milk, it became brown. And that's why they called it cappuccino, after the brown robes. And so the first coffee is Viennese, and Vienna is known for its coffee culture. So you have to stop for a cup of coffee. So one of the landmarks that Vienna is known for is Schönbrunn Palace. Schönbrunn Palace is the Versailles of Vienna. And it's a beautiful area. It's not just the palace itself, but it's amazing gardens that surround it. There is also the zoo there. The zoo in Vienna is the first zoo in the world. So it's quite interesting to see it. There are many things that were preserved. They started collecting animals already in the 18th century. The husband of the Empress Maria Theresa, he was not interested in ruling. He was interested in science and nature. And he started collecting animals already back then. So that's quite interesting. So you could visit there. And the palace is amazing and beautiful. However, it's not for everybody. It's for maybe the more history loving people, but people who prefer nature, they might want to go to a place like Hallenberg Mountain to hike up or take the bus up, see the view of Vienna, see a little bit of green. And this mountain is surrounded by small wine houses and small wineries. They produce their own wine, and they have a restaurant called Heurigen in German, where there is often folk music in the evening and a great atmosphere. It's in an area called Grinzing, which used to be its own village, but became part of Vienna later on. And it's very accessible. So for people who love wine and love nature, they can do that, for example. People who love museums can go to one of the museums after their walk in the city and then finish the day, let's say, with a concert in one of the beautiful concert halls in Vienna. This could be a one day, but one day is never enough in Vienna, that's for sure.
That sounds like a good day. For when you asked me, like, what is my interest? So when I get to a new city somewhere around the world, I really like to explore its beat. Yeah, its vibe and beat. Like, I'm getting to the historical places and seeing, what is in the brochure, let's say, like what I should see. But then, there is a very beautiful saying of the first mayor of the city of Tel Aviv in Israel, that it's not the buildings and the streets that are making a city, it's the people who are going in those streets, like blood in the veins. So I want to see the blood.
The nice saying.
Yeah, so where can I see, the vibrant life of Vienna? You said that there are 23 different quarters or areas.
Like districts.
So, districts, right. 23, you can say 23 quarters. There are only 4 quarters, but 23 districts to Vienna. So I guess there is some district that should be like a hip district.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's a great question. That's something that often people overlook when they come to Vienna. So they come to Vienna, and of course, they follow my initial advice, spending the time in the old city, only to find it crowded with tourists and barely spotting a single Viennese. Maybe there is like this one slightly grumpy-looking person running through, and that might be the Viennese person. But everybody else will probably be tourists because the locals have no real reason to visit the old town. They have their life outside of the old city, so normally they will spend their time in their own district or where they work. So if you ask me what is the hip district, the one that you will find a lot of young people, bars and pubs, maybe comedy clubs or these kind of activities, I would definitely say the 7th district as number one. 7th district, it's also well known for the shopping street, the long shopping street called Maria Hilferstrasse. That's an open air shopping mall, you would say. So you have a long pedestrian street, and from both sides you have shops, both traditional Viennese shops, but also all the brands, of course. And this is the area you definitely want to visit. If you turn at one of the turns from this main street, you will find lots of small boutique shops and secondhand shops and designers, local designers and galleries, and lots of cool bars and cocktail bars. It's a great place to visit. So the 7th district, it borders also with the 6th district. It's a great place to visit, definitely. Afterwards, each district is known for slightly other things. If you're limited in time, I would stick to the 7th. But then if you want to explore even more, you can visit the 3rd, and you can visit the area of the Danube, of the 20th, 21st district, etc., or the 2nd district. Each district has something to offer, but for those who have time limit, stick to the 7th.
Okay, so you said something earlier that I want to focus on, because music. So Vienna, as far as I know, and I don't know a lot about Vienna, all of the things that you are saying now are pretty much new to me, but when I close my eyes and I think like the word Vienna in my head, I think about classical music and opera. I imagine like a city from the 19th century, from the Austro-Hungarian Empire, with a bunch of fancy people walking in fancy suits and dresses and going to the opera. Now, of course, I mean, maybe you can today wear a suit and a dress, but like, where or should I go to an opera in Vienna, or where can I go to see a good opera show or a classical concert?
Yeah, so first of all, you said it right. When people think about Vienna, they think about music. Just funny anecdote before I answer you. It's funny because when people think about Vienna, the first person that comes to their mind is Mozart, right?
Right.
So but Mozart was not Austrian. It's really funny, because Mozart was from Salzburg, and Salzburg became part of Austria only after the fall of Napoleon. So
really?
1814, 1815, the Congress of Vienna. Yeah.
So what
Mozart
was it before? It was French? Salzburg was French?
It was a principality. It was a principality ruled by a prince. It was a small independent, I would say, like state-like principality will be the correct definition. When Mozart came to Vienna for the first time, he came to perform at 6 years old in front of Maria Theresa. And afterwards, when he returned for a competition between the Salzburg musicians and the Viennese musicians. And they were not one. And he chose to stay in Vienna, and he was, in a way, a foreigner to some extent. So it's very interesting. Same like Beethoven, who was German. All the people that are associated with Vienna are not necessarily Viennese. But then you have, of course, Schubert and Strauss, who were Viennese. And so if you want to experience this world of music in Vienna, you have various options. And of course, the first option is the State Opera. The State Opera, you will not miss it. It's this square-shaped building along the Ring Road. The Ring Road is the road that circles the old town. It's a beautiful building, even though the Viennese hated it when it was built. Even they called it a shoebox because it looks so squared.
Right.
And it actually caused the architect to one of them committed suicide and the other one died from a broken heart. Yeah, and they were criticized by the Emperor Franz Joseph. And when you get criticized by the Emperor, who is basically God on earth, what is your reason to live anymore? They tell you that you're...
I thought they got criticized by the harsh Viennese people.
Both, yeah. This is equally difficult. But Franz Josef was quite a man. So when somebody that important tells you that your life's work equals to a shoebox, yeah, that's tough. Actually, it's funny because since then, after that incident, Franz Josef refused to give any feedback beside it was nice or it was good, so that people don't commit suicide anymore. So it's quite funny. But anyway, that building is quite amazing. And of course, you can buy tickets online and have your seat. Prepare sometimes for very long operas. It's not for the faint of heart. It's for you have to be prepared. But the Viennese love it. The Viennese go regularly. One important tip is that if you want to experience the opera, but you don't want to stay the full show, or you don't want to spend hundreds of euros, what you can do is you can come about an hour and a half or 2 hours before the show. You will already see a line on the side of the opera, and you just stand in line, and you can buy standing tickets for like 10 euros or so. And these standing tickets, you can just enter, stand wherever you want in the designated areas, and also leave whenever you want. And so you can experience the opera for really cheap. However, if I were you, I would go somewhere else. I would go to a place called the Golden Hall. The Golden Hall is a beautiful concert hall. It's located also on the Ringstrasse in a building called the Musikverein. And they have several halls there, and the Golden Hall is renowned. It's absolutely beautiful. Often the Viennese orchestra plays there. It's not for opera, but it's for a classical concert.